Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. Casey Kang Head, welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So happy to have you on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to be here with you today.
And you saying that means more than some of the people that I have on the show, or more than me even saying that. You're very grateful for being here. So today we're going to talk about survival. I think we're going to talk about resiliency. We're going to talk about how to recover from a major shakeup in your world and a shift in probably your perspective. We're going to get into all these things. And so the reason that when you say that you're really grateful to be here, it's a little bit different. It's because you're a 3-time cancer survivor. And you went on to write a book, Finding Your Way Back to Heart Center. You know, you have a website, The Happier Hustle, which we're going to get into, and I want to talk to you about what that is. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your story of kind of where, you were very young, I think, when you were diagnosed with cancer, and it was a very rare form of cancer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, both are very true. I was 31. I was diagnosed on February 14th.
Oh, wow.
And it completely changed my life. I went to the hospital follow-up appointment and on my lunch break thinking I would be going back to work
Right.
in an hour. And I was told to go to another internist and then go to the ER. And then I was admitted to the hospital. So
Wow.
yeah, and I never went back to work for 8 months. There were things that I was just more
Wow.
like attributing to stress and the holidays
Mm-hmm.
that I just ignored, But once they admitted me, I was hospitalized for 30 days straight. Then I was finally able to go home. I still had to go back to the hospital 3 or 4 times a week because the cancer that I have is acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a rare children's cancer to begin with. It's even rarer to be 31 and diagnosed with it. So it's an extremely hard regimen to go through. They basically throw everything in the kitchen at it at once, and which is why you're hospitalized for 30 days in the beginning.
Wow.
And 4 months into my treatment, though, I ended up having a stroke
Oh,
from the
gosh.
chemotherapy.
And what caused the stroke? I mean, was that just compromised immune system or blood clotting?
So my oncologist would say that it is one of the spinal taps that I did.
Mhm.
And my neurologist will say it's the chemotherapy. So we split the
Right.
baby in the middle and
Right.
said it was like,
A
and
medical
said it
thing.
was like, yeah, and said it was like the perfect storm of all of these things at once
Oh,
happening. So then I had to relearn how to walk and use my entire left side of my body while still going through treatment. I was in remission.
wow.
And then 4 months after that, because I was desperate to feel some sort of normalcy, I decided to go back to work. And in hindsight, that was the worst decision I think I could have made. But I needed normal back. And I got into remission and finished it's an 18-month protocol that I was on. 7 weeks later, I relapsed the first time.
Mhm.
And we were like, okay, we're back into it. Like, what happens now? So it was the choice between a clinical trial and an immunotherapy. So they're like, you're not responding to chemotherapy anymore. We're like, great. Okay. So we decided to do the immunotherapy first, which failed completely. And then we decided to then go on to the clinical trial. And the clinical trial, a week before I was supposed to start, got shut down
Okay.
because too many people passed
Mm.
away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That's not
I'm going through
a
all
good trial. But,
No, and we knew something was going on because there were families, like groups of families there
Mhm.
on the floor that I was in, and you just felt you knew it. You didn't have to ask a question; you just knew something wasn't
Right.
going right. The trial was shut down and confirmed what we had suspected was happening, and so then my husband and I looked at the medical team and we're like, "Now what?"
Right.
And they basically looked at us and said, "Well, we don't really have anything." So I'm like, what do you mean? Like, there's no clinical trial anywhere else? They're like, there's one clinical trial going on at a different hospital. But the thing about clinical trials is like, there's no line skipping. So we can't guarantee that you'll be admitted to the trial and we can't get you in faster.
Mm.
So the plan is what to keep me alive with blood and platelets. This doesn't sound very
Right.
good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Doesn't sound like a great plan.
No, not at all. So they finally, because the goal was to get me into remission to get a stem cell transplant. They were like, we have this immunotherapy, and it was just after the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society wrapped up their annual conference. They're like, it's not for your cancer, but do you want to try it? And I was like, I don't think we have a choice
Right.
because like
Right. Right.
there's not
Yeah.
much else coming
Right.
my way.
Right.
After like some debate back and forth between like, okay, there's 114 participants, 11 people had what I had. They said that the outcomes were not great. It was scary. And we decided, sure, why not? They were like, okay, well, we have to write a letter of compassion to the FDA and the drug manufacturer to see if you even qualify to get it. I'm like, so wait a minute, you just gave me hope, but then took it away a little bit. Like, what's
Right.
happening here? I was like, okay, that's great. Can I get out of the hospital in the meantime? So I went home during the holidays and settled all my affairs, which is what they told me to do. And hope basically crossed my fingers and was like, if I'm supposed to be here, like, come on.
Right.
And it was approved. I did 4 rounds of that immunotherapy called isotunimab and got me into remission. Then they
Mm.
were like, okay,
Wow.
we need to, yeah. Like, I mean,
Oh.
it's a miracle. Like,
Right.
I genuinely don't know how that happened. And then they were like, okay, stem cell transplant. My brother is my donor.
Mm.
That went as good as a stem cell transplant can go. It's basically
Mhm.
like an organ transplant, but just your blood instead of like a heart or a
Right.
liver or
Right.
kidney.
Thanks.
Um, and then 6 months after that, just as I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. They caught it so early, I was feeling nothing.
Mm.
And because I was still going to the hospital every week for blood work and an appointment, and they caught it and it just crushed me. I thought to myself, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. My husband was like, whatever you decide is what we're going to do. Like, I'm not driving this bus for you. You have to decide. And so I don't know how long I sat in that room and cried in that uh, hospital, you know, but I just came to the conclusion of like, I can't give up because my dad would be so upset at me. Like, it wasn't even for my life. It was
Right.
like because I didn't want to disappoint the people who helped me get to where it was even then.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, we're gonna do one more time. I go, but that's it. We're done. Like, I'm not going to can't keep doing this because I just don't have anything left to give.
Mhm.
We were like, is it another stem cell transplant or is it more immunotherapy? And they were like, well, let's just try the immunotherapy again because we still have to get you into remission anyways to
Mm.
do another stem cell transplant. So we did 4 rounds of that and they were like, we're just going to actually wait. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we're just going to see how long this lasts. And I was like, I don't, what do you mean? Like, we're just supposed to wait for it to come back. They're like, well, kind of, but we don't know. We're
Right.
just going to
Because
wait. So for like 6 months, we just waited. Because no one had any clue what to expect next. And 6 years later, almost, I'm still in remission, still
wow.
cancer free,
Wow.
and by some miracle of timing and just my body going, okay, we're gonna do this. Okay.
So once you figured out what worked for you, then you could pass it on to others. So is that primarily what you do now through the Happier Hustle?
Yeah. So I that is what I do. I coach women during or after cancer treatment because it is such a marathon of a journey. Like, it's 90% mindset. And if you don't go into it the right way, and if you're in the middle of it and it goes sideways, there's so many things that I wish I would have known, but I didn't
Mhm.
know. And there weren't real people talking about it, even when I started talking about the struggle that I had afterward, it was like there's this shame around it that no one wanted to talk about. It's like, we need to talk about it. These conversations need to happen. Like, this is how we heal. This is how we can all lift each other up. And so I'm really passionate about coaching women. Um, and primarily I do it through group coaching and one-on-one. Uh, but I love my program that I built, A Happier After You. It is everything that I did, and it's just now really focused in 13 weeks. And it is everything that really truly helped me physically, mentally, and emotionally take back control of my life and live without fear.
And so, yeah, kind of what was some of the big wisdom that you gained through this whole process up until today? Kind of what are some of the that would apply to not just cancer survivors, but everybody in general? I mean, everybody has some burden that they bear and some angst or fear, or we all know fear. It's just, the context is different. Or the content, I guess, would be different. So I guess what are what's some of the wisdom that you gained from that whole experience?
I mean, there's a lot, so I'll narrow it down. Um, that question's almost overwhelming, in and
Right.
of itself, but I think for anyone that is living scared because of other people's opinions or even fear of their themselves as far as like sabotaging themselves or fear of failure, like, you trust yourself. If it's in your heart, do it and go for it, because that fear doesn't go away until you start doing the thing.
Right.
And it's trusting yourself to know that whatever is guiding you is pointing you in the right direction. And sometimes it takes imperfect action. Like, I didn't start with everything that I've got now and knew everything. It was starting before I was ready, and it was just fearlessly going. I know people are going to have opinions. They're always going to have opinions. People are mean. That's just what they are. And just still staying the course. I know where my heart and soul are at, regardless of what people are telling me or saying to me. I know what I'm doing, and just trusting that so much in your bones.
And so that's describing kind of the relationship that you developed with yourself. So if you could impart one message to kind of the other 8 billion humans now that are on the face of the earth, what message, this is my Miss America question. If you could, if you could do one thing, but if you had one message to impart to the rest of the humans to make their life a better life or just a more purposeful life, what would that message be?
I would say, honestly, to live an authentic life for yourself and to not just check the boxes of life because somebody told you to, because that's what I was doing, checking boxes of did it, did it, did it, did it. And it wasn't filling my heart and my soul up.
Right. And and so I'm going to ask a follow-up question because you said it that way, but what does fill your heart up now? What does fill your heart and soul up?
I have a big reason why I think I'm here is like this passion of giving back, this purpose of being able to help somebody else who's struggling. And, I do really believe that together we are stronger and together we rise, because if I can lift somebody up and they lift somebody up and they lift somebody else, and, it's like a domino effect. I might never know the impact that I'll have on someone, but just being able to have a voice is everything.
Totally. Totally. Well, yeah, I'm so happy that you came on today. And so your website's thehappierhustle.com. Is that right?
Hmm.
.com,
Yeah.
thehappierhustle.com. And you can check out and read more about your story. You can find your book there. You can find all your certifications, a little bit more about how you work with people, right? And stay in contact. And then you also on social media at all?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram at the Happier Hustle.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate that. And if you ever want to come back on and share things that are happening in your life, we'd be happy to have you come back on and visit with us. We always like to put out the name of our show, Bright Vibes. We like to put out bright vibes in the universe, and definitely you're doing that. And we want to bring more light to people who are doing really great things in the world. So thank you for doing great things, and thank you for sharing your life with us today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to do so, Matt. I really appreciate it.
I'm sure we will see you again sometime on the show.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you for being a part of the BriteVibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE Vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.